Good science, by definition, allows for more than one opinion. Otherwise, you merely have the will of one man, which is the basis of cult.
If it's not in frame, it doesn't exist.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown, an illusion?
Where you been?
Drunk.
Wendy, darling, light of my life.
What is your one purpose in life?
To explode, of course.
I like death with sex. How about you, Casey? You like sex with death?
Yeah, so fuck off and die.
Oh, dude. This is so Gen X. It's not even... It's like, this is the film. When someone's like, what is Gen X? I'm going to show some Zoomers this movie.
It's there, because it definitely feels like it goes hand in hand. Like, obviously, like, a more adjacent scene. But, like, my Gen X movie would be, like, Slacker. Right, but it does feel very hand in hand with Slacker, especially since it's very like loose. There's so many scenes of just it's more coherent than Slacker almost because of that. But
I really though, no, they're both, dude. Okay, there had to have been crap. I was gonna look it up. There had to have been like one text that every like student of film, anyone just like tangentially interested in film read. Because this like is such a common occurrence. Like even Wes Anderson wasn't immune. Like Bottle Rocket is this movie. Like this, it's crazy how like the like late 80s and the like early to basically through the 90s essentially. It's like these movies just feel all the same. Like and it's weird like to.
Yeah, not in a bad way, but it does feel like
not in a bad way
but like,
at all.
I see what you mean,
it.
though. It's like a generational like formula, like movies, indie movies
especially,
of the late 80s to mid 90s are very like.
Yeah.
But I mean, and we probably know why that is, though. I mean, more or less, it's just like Sundance and Independence became a thing. I mean, you got fucking Linklater and fucking Tarantino, Kevin Smith, all those dudes,
right.
Gus Van Sant. We talked about fucking God, who else? There's a pile of them from that era that, like, all those movies kind of had that, like, oh, yeah, like, let's just kind of, like, slow it down, get kind of surreal with it, and also just, like, it's, like, so much more loose. I don't know. It feels like a throwback to 70s.
Did you say David Lynch? Because that's...
Yeah, David Lynch, for
like,
sure.
I mean, like, Twin Peaks feels like this. It's, like, a lot of the teenage angst.
But he's an outlier, though. David Lynch is an outlier because he's not a Gen Xer. He's definitely a boomer, and he started in the 70s.
Oh,
but
sure, right, of course.
He's just, but I think his influence, he was always, even in that part of his career, he was still so influential that it influenced it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I bet you
Gus Van Sant is.
Oh yeah,
he's probably older.
Yeah, he's
but
definitely
I'm just
older.
thinking like,
Oldish.
the actors that we had in this time period.
Yeah. Anyway, so this is called the $70 Podcast. We're talking about My Own Private Idaho, which Gus Van Sant. This movie's been on my list for a long time, just off and on, only because I remember back in the prime golden age of when I watched every fucking movie ever made when I was like 15.
Yeah, like 06 or whatever.
Yeah.
Dude.
Like 05. I watched like every movie from the library, but that was when I discovered Gus Van Sant, and I watched, because obviously like most people watched Good Will Hunting.
Well, yeah, because it's Good Will Hunting.
And then went back and was like, I watched like Jerry and fucking Elephant and the Psycho remake.
Well, that's how we became more. I mean, that was a shared film of ours.
Yeah.
Was Elephant, because not a single human being in the world has seen it. And so when we were like, hey, we've both seen that. Wow, that's pretty neat. And I remember seeing it in theaters and being like, whoa, this is crazy.
Yeah, we get it.
So good.
You're so cool. You saw Gus Van Sant's Elephant in theaters. Fucking put your beret on.
Yeah. But I really was not very, I kind of forgot that he was like part of Good Will Hunting and, Milk was his piece too. And that's because Milk is like the most like linear that he's made. I mean, all of his stuff is like,
very straightforward
cerebral,
biopic. Very straightforward biopic, which Milk is great. You know what I mean too. And it's, it's because I remember when his last movie came out is Don't Worry, He Won't Get Far on Foot or whatever with Joaquin Phoenix. I That was like years ago now. That was almost 10 years. It was like 2017 or something like that. And
Yeah, that's crazy.
I remember I was like, oh yeah, Gus Van Sant. I haven't heard about him in a long time. I like him. I like Joaquin. I should see this. And then I never did, unfortunately. But now I want to again. I feel like every time I watch a Gus Van Sant movie, I'm like, oh yeah, Gus Van Sant's pretty good. I should watch more of his catalog because I've still never seen Midnight Cowboy. You know what I mean? It's a couple I've not seen. And
I've always Promised Land was one that I've always wanted to see.
Yeah. But I'm glad I finally saw this one because it's like I do remember back in the day it popping up on my radars every now and again. I'd see it and I'd be like, oh yeah, I mean, I want to see River Phoenix. I mean, obviously he's good, but Gus Van Sant, I'm from Idaho, so I'm like, it's got Idaho in the name. How many movies are about fucking Idaho? Because it's even this movie's not even really that much about Idaho because Idaho sucks.
No, they're in Idaho for all of 5 minutes. So,
but we made our movie a lot in Idaho too. So
that is true. Yeah.
But anyway, so real quick, I'm gonna give you the very loose synopsis because I didn't write one again. Pablo, if you want to fucking write a synopsis, you should write a synopsis because I keep forgetting.
I know, really, write one. Let it post it on like the Reddit or something. We'll read it.
He told me he would, but I told him that would require him watching the movies, and he was like, "Oh yeah." So we'll see.
Watch the movies. This movie was awesome. Spoiler alert. I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, all the movies are worth it, even if they're not great. You know what I mean? But yeah,
true.
Spoiler alert, I also liked it. But anyway, so this movie follows Mikey, who's a hustler / male prostitute in like Seattle and Portland area, and he's got narcolepsy, kind of like flops around. He's in Idaho, which is like I guess where he's from, and has like serial visions there, but he's prostituting around. He ends up in Portland or whatever. He not meets because they already know each other, but he runs into his friend Scotty, who's played by Keanu Reeves. At like this woman picks up like 3 male prostitutes and they're all gonna do a thing, but he like goes into a narcoleptic fit when he gets stressed out, so he gets left on the streets and stuff. But you find all these like street kids, including Flea for some reason, who seem to be randomly in every fucking movie of this era, just like in the background.
Yeah, he like barely had a speaking role, but yeah,
he shouted like incoherently like a caveman or whatever, like half the time. But
yeah,
they're like all following this guy Bob, who's just kind of like this homeless junkie leader type dude, or whatever. But they're all like living.
I mean, he's the surrogate father for
sure.
Yeah,
they literally are like, you're my real dad. You know what I mean? Surrogate father. And but Scotty, he comes from a richer background, and he's just kind of like being rebellious and stuff. And he says he's gonna take his daddy's money when he turns 21 and really turn his life around, especially right now he's just doing it for the lulz or whatever. And Mikey, he's just like damaged, and and they're going on their adventures. They go, they meet this guy Hans, who's like a friend of the other chick, but they're just it's very loose. They're running around. Some of this is based on Shakespeare, and it feels very Shakespearean loosely.
Yeah,
which is cool. But they end up in Idaho, and they run into, and like there's nothing much there, but they run into the dude Hans, and they have a sexual encounter with him, and they order to sell their motorcycle to him so they can just get money, because they're always doing some skeezy stuff, but they kind of went out there. Scotty went with Mikey to help him find his mom, because he's been having some issues and missing his mom and wants to reconnect with her lately, and he doesn't know where she is.
When he met his dad in Idaho, his dad gave him a postcard that had her latest address.
Well, right. He went to go. Well, he met his brother, who then he says, "I know you're my real dad, not my brother," and or that you are both my brother and my dad, because incest and all that or whatever. But then they go to fucking Rome, because that was like her last address. So it's like they skimped that together. They go to Rome. They try to look for her last address, and she's not there. She's long gone back to America, which is disheartening news for Mikey. But Scott meets some lady there, and he ends up falling kind of for her and gets the hots for her. And so he dumps Mikey like a fucking sack of hot potatoes and just ditches him to go be with this girl. He's like, I'll catch up with you down the road. Maybe, maybe not. So, and Mikey's always passing out everywhere. So Scotty leaves him, and then he finds his way back to Portland or whatever, or Seattle or one of the two, and he starts, hooking at it again and just going back to his life. He's with Bob and everything. And they see Scott, and he's finally got his daddy's money, and he's living that life, and he's got his, Roman wife or French wife or whatever and they go to this fine restaurant. Bob and all the vagabonds are like, Scott, you remember us? We're your
Dude,
friends.
that's one of the greatest scenes of all time. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, it's brutal. And he's just like, don't speak to me. Once you were my father. Anyway, he just is like, fuck you guys. That's my old life. You're dead to me. And so Bob is like, oh, my one true son, you were my favorite. And he's heartbroken. And then he literally dies in his bed at some undeterminate amount of time later. And there's a funeral. And all the respectable people somehow go to the funeral. Scott's there. But then all the hooligan, Bob's real gang, is getting drunk on fucking shitty bathtub wine, just like at the edge of the funeral.
It's beautiful, dude. You notice it's the parallel. Scott was at his own father's funeral.
Oh, duh.
And it was being done.
Yeah.
It was being done professionally, quote unquote.
Yeah, and then they had just
civilized.
Bob's
and then
box,
they had Bob in like a wooden box, and they were just like humping on it and stuff.
But it was
And
there.
It's
It was still there.
Dude,
yeah.
That song is so folk punk when they're just like just like Bob.
It is, right?
Accordion.
That's
beautiful.
right. That's right. That's fun. And then, Scott's got a little forlorn look, but then somehow Mikey, and so he looks back on it, that's his last moment. But then Mikey, he finds himself back in Idaho as he does, and he's just on his lonesome road. And he passes out from his narcolepsy as he always does, and then it ends with him getting robbed and then someone putting him in his car and taking advantage of him probably, and the cycle continues for our boy Mikey. It ends that way.
Yeah, right.
Sad.
And it's such a weird it's a sad ending, but because this movie isn't
it's
completely
not
connected to your character,
Yeah.
you don't really feel sad. It's just kind of
it's not oh Mikey, it's just oh, that's a dark message, but it's but the way the music is, and it's kind of surreal, it's more that's life. You're not oh, that's Mikey,
Right.
That's such a sad character, because I feel like I kind of do, and he's a good character in that way, but it is more some people just don't because I honestly, at the end of the day, I mean, we're gonna get into it, but at the end of the day, I think this movie's about privilege, right? Because it's just
totally
some people's lot in life,
100%,
man.
yeah.
It's just poor Mikey, man. He can't. He's a product of his environment. He can't just change his lot in life, and some people just get dealt a fucking luck hand, and that's why Scott is such a fucking piece of shit. I don't know if I've ever seen Keanu Reeves in a role of a character I hated so much. I hated him so much.
Yes.
He was a good character.
100, dude,
but he was
he
so
does so
unlikable.
good at it.
Yeah.
But his fucking hill turn at the end, I was no, dude, you have no idea. I straight up was on the edge of my seat because I kept waiting for Scott to come and join in the revelry of to join Bob's funeral.
Yeah.
And he doesn't. And I was just dude, it literally it gutted me, man. I was gutted. I just straight up just
as soon as he left,
what?
He just ditched. After Mikey confessed his love,
I know, that was so
which is
heartbreaking.
my favorite scene probably. He confesses his love, and Scott just blows it off, and then immediately starts tongue fucking this chick in front of him constantly, even though he's I think I love you, basically, and then
yeah,
the hardest way he could.
well, and Scott. Scott's it is, man, that is, so the campfire scene,
man, just drops his ass in a different country.
That was not, I know, that is brutal. But Gus Van Sant, that wasn't in the script. River Phoenix was hey,
Really?
we need to have this connective tissue before they move. It was that scene wasn't necessarily, it could have gone anywhere between their traveling, because this movie's a lot of incoherently moving back and forth. You don't really quite know where they are 100% of the time.
So many scenes start with Mikey just waking up somewhere, which is pretty great.
Yeah, dude, if there's ever a plot device that fucking can write yourself out of a corner,
dude, yeah.
that's the greatest. That's the greatest, and it actually works so well.
It works
I
really well.
I loved his
Yeah.
Yeah, like they use it just enough in the movie that like I was like, oh man, this is like it's a good device, and especially because like when he does go into like if like he'll have a fit or he will black out. It's like you get such a beautiful surrealism of Idaho, of his life growing up. You kind of like that's where you get like a lot of character development. Is with just his weird flashbacks and that like 16 millimeter of his mom and stuff, and it's like, God, dude, I love the like at the beginning when he's standing at the crosswalk and he like sees that woman and it's like he's starting to go into like a fit, like a haze, and his eyes are kind of like rolling the back of his head and he like sees his mom and that woman, dude. I don't know, man. Like it gripped me, man. I mean, it opens with like a fucking blowjob, so that'll get your attention.
I was already on board, but yeah, it's like.
Yeah.
Once after he like is at the crossroads and he's yelling at the road and he's yelling at the rabbit or whatever, but like then he gets his dick sucked and as soon as he busts, it's like a barn falling into frame and smashing on the road, which I'm like, all right, I like that.
Yeah. Well, I love
that's 90s.
I love
that's 90s indie right there.
Like so 90s, dude. So like, and it's so like it is. I mean, Gus Van Sant, he loves music of the time, and so he worked with the Red Hot Chili Peppers a lot and stuff. So it's like he feels like he's got a very music video,
he kind of does,
editing style and kind of surrealism. Like that's just what Gus Van Sant's done pretty much forever. Is like he does such a it's a weird like he's like David Lynch but a little more artsy. God, I don't know. That's not really fair to David Lynch as much, but it's like David Lynch is a little more punk rock. Where he's a little more like new wavy, or even more like folk punky, or just like kind of like a little more like
But it's a little more queer, I guess, right?
Vagabond,
like he's very much like that new queer cinema vibe that like comes around like
he likes he likes the like people on the fringe, where like David Lynch likes to examine people high society but
hiding
he, like, tweaks
shit
them.
under the
he
surface.
tweaks them.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like David Lynch, like his human beings in his movies aren't real, just as much as like these human beings don't feel real, but they like he gives them more of like a documentary style.
This is like
especially
people,
in this film.
It's like people who fell through the cracks, right? This is how this is.
Yeah,
it's like Lynch is showing the cracks in other people.
Right. But anyhow, I think that the characters, speaking on the realism of the characters in this film, is the like John that he was working with, like his date at the beginning, getting the blowjob, and how he's just like he's like, can I get $10 more? And the guy is fighting for his life in that toilet, dude. I've never been like so intrigued and disgusted at the same time. Like I loved it. That characters. Dude, there's so many characters in this movie that are in it for 35 seconds, and I'm like, God, I want more. Like, give me more of this character. But also, I don't really need more because like I'm intrigued and they caught my eye, and I don't think I want to get to know them. But I'm just like, I loved that guy. How he's just like, don't cry at me or whatever. Like he's like,
I know, never came back. That's the slacker. That's the 90s shit though. Where it's just like
that is.
You could take a side path and it doesn't really need to go anywhere, but it adds to like the atmosphere of the film. Which just like when they're hanging out in the diner and the other like male prostitutes are like telling their stories and shit like that.
Oh, dude,
it's like
I love that so much. Ugh,
like it's loose on plot, you know what I mean? But it's more like these anecdotes and trying to like be raw with this environment and shit like that. Because, and I can't believe that that fire pit scene wasn't in the script.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I almost said Joaquin River, right?
I know Joaquin, which is going to be the right.
But River, I never really seen any of his other movies other than like one other thing when he's a kid, in addition to Stand By Me, which Stand By Me is like one of the best child performances out there. Like it's up there for sure. Even though he's like, I don't know, like 13 or whatever. But it's like in this, I thought he was doing really good the whole time. But that's like, I was like, oh, okay, he's really good. I get why he's a loss. I always thought, I'm glad I saw him. It's sad he died like shortly after this was made.
I know, dude.
But then seeing that campfire scene and seeing the acting during that scene, I was just like, holy fuck, like that's a real talent, man. Like, and I'm like, it's a damn shame that we didn't get to, he didn't get to like keep going with that because it was so good. And I don't know, his presence, he's just got such a good presence, even when he's like, because Mikey is like, he's not the charismatic one. He's like kind of self-reserved and twitchy and quiet. Like he is like kind of punk rock and like
and he's the most like
rambunctious.
damaged
Yeah,
of them. Like
for sure.
he's got that
for sure.
Yeah,
He's got trauma, dude, for sure.
yeah. Well,
Which also I think when it comes around is like privilege and trauma. You know what I mean? And it's like where it's like Scott's wearing other people's trauma like a fucking riding it like a fucking amusement park ride that he can just get off and then whenever he wants.
Scott's a poser, dude,
He is
for sure,
such
man.
a
He's a
fucking
capital
poser.
P poser, dude.
Yeah.
You know, he may suck a dick, but he's like he literally at the campfire scene when he's just like, oh, he's like, I'm not gay. I don't do this. I only do this for money. You know,
That's what makes it so much more heartbreaking. It's just like Mikey's just like, I could love someone even if I wasn't getting paid. He's like, I love you even though you're not paying me. And it's like,
yeah. Oh yes, God, that is good. That's really good. Yeah. Yeah. Because that's crazy because it's like River Phoenix like worked with Gus Van Sant on that. He like was like he brought that script to him. He brought that scene to him. He's like I've got this idea that I feel like it would help. And I do feel like it's a really good bridge.
yeah.
Like before I knew that fact, I was like, God, it's a good scene. And so
Yeah, I really like it. The ending hit me pretty hard too. It's just like because it wasn't like that I felt bad for Mikey, but I kept wanting to say because in my mind I was like, why does he keep ending up at this crossroads, right? But then I'm like,
yeah,
that's what's fucked up. It's like not even a crossroads. It's literally one road in a straight line forever. That it's just like he can never change his circumstances. Like he's never at a crossroads where he's like, I have to make a choice and I can change. Like he's just such a like. It's sad that it's like he's like perpetually sort of a victim, and so that it ends with him just there again at this non-crossroads, just like surrendered to his fate. That who knows? I'm sure he'll make it out fine, but he's probably gonna end up back at that fucking truck stop or whatever. You know what I mean? Eventually, just even more diminished than he was before. And literally, when he's asked him saying earlier, like he's like, "Oh, I can't believe we're alive," and he's like, "Isn't it obvious? You know what I mean that we're alive?" He's like, "Yeah, I guess it is obvious, but for how long? You know what I mean?" I don't know.
Really though, yeah. And I feel like his crossroads with his mom. His mom was such a big,
and he never found her though. That's the thing. It's just like he's searching, and he just never finds her. There's no like resolution. Like there is a catharsis in like Bob's funeral and everything, but it's a small victory in these things. But it's just like he's so reserved to it. You know what I mean? Like he's so just like, this is who I am. My brother, dad, like my mom, I can't find, and Scott's just over here, just like, yeah, cool. And he's like, I love you, man. And he's like, that's cool. I'm gonna leave now with this lady.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh,
Well,
it's
and
heartbreaking.
The true narrative of it. It's only been like a week. Like that.
Right.
Like that was like the Scott was like, my inheritance comes to me in a week. You know, and so that, I mean, you know, who knows? It's like his dad died in that week. It's kind of like too perfect, but it also like. It doesn't really, the movie doesn't give us anything else to go off of, you know, except for that. And so it's like, you know, it's like that happens. It happens so fast, but then like, this feels like years of his life, you know, and it does. It feels, and that's what's so good. It's like, it feels so familiar. Like all of like everything that like Mikey does, it feels familiar, but God, it just, the very 90s flow, like you're saying, like, it just feels like he's in Slackers and he's just like, he's just, the camera's like, he's following the camera almost, where he doesn't really, he's not making any decisions for himself.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it like hurts the most when Scott bails on him, because he's like, oh, Scott, you like hung with me and you made, like, Scott was the one that like initiated going to find his mom and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, he's definitely like,
It was like
Mikey just,
he felt like, like Scott was like a positive. He felt like Scott was a positive influence on his life, and like he bringing him joy, brings him a lot of laughs. Like he, you know, treats him well. They goof off. He helps him find his mom. But then it's just like, but to Scott, he's like completely disposable. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's like maybe not completely, because that little smirk at the funeral where it's like he's like he doesn't go over there, but it's like, I don't know, but it's not enough, you know.
Of course, yeah. And I mean, I think it's like Scott's like, I'm gonna remember this like year, because I think they do establish something where like he's only been doing this for like 2 years or something, or a year, and so it's like, it's just like he's like, I'm gonna remember this like formative time when I was like 18 to 20 or whatever, and it's like and he's like, but I have that privilege, like you were saying, like that's a good take on it. Is like this is more like like a class war than a lot of other films that I've seen, and it's like it's told in such a beautiful poetic way. Like I love that like on IMDb one of the credits is Shakespeare. That's like the writer's credit for it.
Some of the times
like,
you really feel it like when it's Bob like lording,
especially with
and
Bob,
then,
dude.
like, yeah,
Bob's
for sure.
amazing. Like when Bob's introduction into the movie, it feels like this could have been such a different film. And I think that's what Gus Van Sant does a lot with his movies, where you never like know exactly where he's going to go with it, and in such a good way. Like you can't, like, this movie could have been all of just Bob coming in and then like Mike and Scott just doing little odds and ends for him and like getting, and then it could have escalated from like a heist gone wrong or something, could have like, there's a lot of different, like,
it's got the whole
tendrils it could have done,
weird rip off heist scene. And dude, the scene with the nudie mags, which was so sick, it's just like weird fun little thing, and then it's just like nothing again, what I mean? Which
and
feels
everybody
on brand.
all the folks, I know, really though, like all the folks back there, or all the podcast land folks, that was done. All you youngins out
I was gonna
there,
ask,
that was
like,
done.
I don't even know.
100% practical.
That
was all done. It was all done with
was it glass?
Matte paintings.
How they got the front
matte paintings
glass.
and glass.
I was wondering,
Yep.
like they
and
had
so
to
the real human beings are standing in front of it, and it's like it's all matte paintings and glass, and then like just it's fucking movie magic,
It's
baby.
awesome.
I
love
and
seeing
it's like
that,
it's so funny. This kind of film, this low ass budget film, was like it's doing so much, and it's so cool because it's like they couldn't do CG.
Well,
CG did not exist, not in a capacity like that.
Extremely
even close in
creative. Like, I mean, we talk about all the other surreal shit, which there is plenty.
I know,
but it's also like I've talked about all these like darker themes and like, privilege and trauma and all this, but it's just like it doesn't come off like that so hard in your face because it's soft. Like this movie has soft edges. Though, even though, because it's like you almost got to dig to find like the really like to stop and think, because it's presented in a way that's like it almost reminds me kind of Danny Boyle Train Spotting, but without the really heavy shit. It's like the heavy shit's always happening, but it's like they're fucked up on heroin and there's a baby there, but it's like they're having a good time. It's like that's kind of what this feels like, where it's like they're trying to have a good time. Like there's no super heavy dark moments. Like even the campfire scene is not played super dark, but it is sad if you're like actually looking.
Well, and
like there's a lot of sadness, but it's like very melancholy. Even the memories of like of the Idaho, and it's like I don't know my own private Idaho, and it's like whatever that means exactly for him, and it's just like that's his piece, maybe, or I don't know. That own fucked up face. It's like his one thing that he sees like for him, and it's like.
Right. I do feel like the road holds a lot of like significance for him. Like I think there's strife in the road, but then there's a lot of motivation. It's a lot of like potential, because he's like I've tasted these roads before.
I think it's just
like,
the symbolism of the road too in general. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's just like it represents a lot of possibilities, good and bad.
Right. I mean, it's the road that got him out of Idaho, and it's the road that brought him back, and it's like it's beautiful, and like I think that the softness is really a really good term, and I love that like they didn't it's like it's a weird like to glorify like the struggle can happen a lot, and like there are movies that can do it well, but this film, like I like that they don't like every single person that's talking in this movie will like talk about how they're like I've been in a situation that is really dangerous.
Yeah.
I do sex work. I work with mainly men, and that's like there's a lot of violence there and it's stuff.
It
and
could
it's
have
just, like,
very easily been like misery
streets.
porn, right? It could have just been nothing but misery porn and like really heavy.
Yeah.
I feel like a lesser
They also could have gone that way.
Could have went that way.
Yeah, right.
It would have just been like
Hans. I was waiting for Hans to like hurt them or something, but then Hans was like the nicest dude. Hans is probably my favorite character in this movie.
He's so good.
For
Dude,
sure.
His dance was
like,
actually fucking so good.
Dude, his like lip singing and like that song is beautiful.
That
I have
scene.
I have a coworker whose husband is German, and like, so I'm like, I got to get him to see if he can kind of, he's like to see. It's like I feel like the song's like, see he'll be able to decipher it for me. I got to see because he listens to the pod. So thank you for listening. And,
yeah, thanks.
I'll hit you up and see if it's see if you know what he's singing, because I'm like, God, I love the song's great, and the song's like kind of scary at times too. And I'm like, so German, dude. It's such a fucking he's so
the happiest song can be kind of scary. It's been sung in German,
right? Because it's like singing, it's like all poppy and kind of new wave, and then he's like, oh, do strand, like it gets
and
a
that
little
scene,
like intense.
Exactly.
Like, okay, hell yeah.
I feel like we're like programmed. Like these scenes, when you actually read them, are quite dangerous, quite dark, like potentially. And so it's like in the back of your mind, you're always waiting for someone to be like nefarious or something bad to happen. And sometimes it does, but it's like, it's all presented to you in a way that feels like more vulnerable, I guess.
Kind of Coen Brothers. Yeah. They do a really good job at that too.
I was having some flashbacks, especially with the music, to like Raising Arizona a little bit while watching this.
Yeah.
We should do like states,
which is totally fits.
Yeah,
which totally fits. I know a state month would be hilarious, but that totally fits though, dude. It's like Raising Arizona, like fits this '90s kind of like this. I don't know. There's such a movement with these movies, like just in the pacing of the editing, even where like there's times where there's like they're sitting and talking for 10 minutes in the movie, but like. There's so much like
it's not
emphasis
advancing
on
the plot.
talking. Like,
it's just them talking.
No,
and they feel like real. Like a lot of the stories, like either that's what's interesting. It's like the juxtaposition. Like it does feel very deliberate artistry. Like they're just kind of making a thing, and like it doesn't matter if it goes together perfectly well or is like a huge cohesive thing, because it's like it's art. But it's like one scene feels very like candid, talking about these like stories of being like a male prostitute, and then a next scene where it's just literally a bunch of male prostitutes speaking Shakespearean language to a dude who's like in a giant overcoat, like lording like a fucking Shakespeare king. But it somehow really works. I don't know, because it's like Gus Van Sant, he like really does the suspension of disbelief where it's like, that's just the world. I don't know. It's the soft edges. They're shouting from the rooftops of Portland at this dude as he walks in, and like,
dude, that is such a good freaking character introduction.
It's great.
Like the fact, and like, and I love that. Like, I was like, do they like him? Who is this guy? Like, he's a scoundrel. And then like,
he's
I'm
not
like,
that fat. Really... Calm down. Like everyone's like, he's a
I know,
fat ball. Like, he's
really,
not even that fat. Come on.
I know, really, yeah. They were dogging him. But dude, it's like, God, when he shows up, and then there's like, there's such a weird dynamic where it's like he's fatherly but like lovey, but also just kind of he's fucked up. He's like a hedonist, he likes things, but it's great because he's not like, he is equal, and that's what really like brought me joy with Bob's character is he'll be like, let's orchestrate this together, my brethren, and like let's do this together, and then like later when he's telling the story and he's fibbing about all the it's like now we're at 11 men that came to fight him, that stole the money from them,
and everyone just is like,
and it's like
having a good time with it, joshing him too,
right, they're all even when there's like conflict, it's like it's all in good fun, it's all in good spirits,
exactly.
God, they felt like the freaking Rufio or whatever from like Hook.
I
like
was literally about to say this some Peter Pan
what the
shit.
fuck what are they called? Never. What are the kids
aren't
called?
they just the Lost Boys?
Oh, the Lost Boys. Yeah, you're right.
Very Lost
I was
Boys.
I was thinking of the vampire movie, and I was like, is that right? Am I tripping out? Yeah.
I think it is kind of based on that too, because they never grow old.
Right. But yeah, it got some Lost Boys like Hook vibes from this for sure.
For sure, I
was like, hell yeah, dude, some gay Hook in here.
Bob was
which
Robin
Hook,
Williams.
which Hook is gay coded no matter what you say. It's like that's
for sure.
He loves Shmi, so don't even get me started on it, dude.
Yeah, how can you not? Yeah, man.
Really though, yeah.
What so riddle me this. Do you? That's not how narcolepsy works, right?
Oh, no, yeah, right. Let's, I mean, I think that's one thing. It's like Gus Van Sant, he can speak for the gays. He's in the scene, you know. But I think when it goes to narcolepsy, he goes
go to
like they show you, literally. I guarantee you,
opens
he had
with
the
the
fucking
dictionary.
He had the encyclopedia. He grew up with the Encyclopedia Britannica. He flipped through that shit growing up, and he was like, narcolepsy. This is odd. You can fall asleep, and then, so he just posted it to be like, hey. This is a loose interpretation of what
I feel like he read, narcolepsy and epilepsy like together in like a paragraph.
Yeah.
And then just like mixed the two, because that's definitely what it is. It's like an epileptic seizure that just turns into like him just snoozing.
Yeah.
Which is like,
I feel like
I have a friend with narcolepsy, and so I was like, I don't know if there's kinds that do this, maybe, but I mean, he would just like, God, I'm getting really tired, and then he just fall asleep. And I'd be hanging out at his house and be like, all right,
well,
later.
Well, I would imagine too. It's like rarely that. I mean, clearly, you can just argue that of course this exists because everything exists in society. But like him passing out like 4 or 5 times a day, like he was,
and it's all just
constantly.
Yeah, well, it just shows how much stress is in his life. He's always doing it, and everyone's like, oh, Mike, that's so Mike, and he's just constantly stressing out.
Yeah.
But go if you're listening to this, go to the Reddit and tell us about narcolepsy. And also, if you're gay, is Gus Van Sant really king of the gays? Let us know. Go tell us in the.
I know, really though. Yeah. I mean, because
is he still?
He's out. He's out.
I know. Is he? I got that from this movie. It's very, the undertones. I think there might be something a little gay about it.
Yeah, maybe.
Hidden below the surface. Anyway, this I don't know, man. This is fun. And like always, Keanu Reeves is not a very good actor, but
I know. But God,
it's more endearing. I still like him. You always like him, and it's more endearing when he's young, because this is like shortly after what, Bill and Ted era.
No, I thought Bill and Ted was like 86 or something.
That's what I'm saying.
Which I mean, I guess that's true. I guess it is short.
Late 80s,
But yeah, when did he do? When was he in?
Well, he really became the
Point
dude
Break.
in the 90s. Yeah, Point Break's like 93, 94, which, yeah, I think that was like one of his big blowouts, because then it was like Point Break and then fucking Speed, like right after,
God, yeah, it's just weird. I picture him as such an adult in Speed because the last time I saw Speed, I was a child. I was like maybe double digits, 10 or 11.
Dude.
So like I see him as an adult, but now when I think about it, I'm like, he's gonna look like a baby when I watch that movie.
Wait,
again.
you didn't watch? I watched Speed when we did like last year or two, and we did like 90s action movies. But I know it's because I wanted to watch Speed, but it didn't win. Yeah.
No, it didn't win. I haven't watched Speed in years.
Speed is very nostalgic for me. I loved that as a kid, and yeah, I watched it a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I watched it a couple years ago, and I'm like, I'm at that age now, and I think a lot of people go through this, but we're at that age now, right? We're like mid-30s. But it's like when you start seeing movies that you did see when you were younger, and someone will be like, oh yeah, he's like 30 or whatever, and I'm just like, oh, I'm older than that guy. I used to think that guy was ancient. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Because like, yeah, he's
right?
he's like 29 in Speed or something. Like his character is. He might even be younger, but it's like, I'm 29.
I'm sure he's younger.
I'm a grizzled adult, and now I'm just like, oh, I'm over here just like playing video games with my moobs and shit. Like,
I know, literally. I'm like, yeah, it was one of those like I've always
stop
looked
a speeding
older.
bus.
But now I'm
older.
Starting to really look I'm really looking my age.
Yeah.
It's really setting in. There's no getting away with it anymore. Like the kids at my work are like, no, you're like what, 40? Like, they don't like, like even 5 years ago they were like, I don't know, you could be like 22.
Well, ever since I gave birth, ever since I had my kids, my body went to shit, as it goes.
Oh, I know, dude. It just wreaks havoc.
Dude,
it wreaks havoc.
I'm like, 5 years ago, before my kids were born, I had like no gray in my beard. Now I'm like 45%. I'm like 50% gray. I'm balding. My tooth is gone now. I'm like, fucked, man. So watch it.
It is your body. Yeah, your body's just
my
it's
character.
all your nutrients.
Maybe that's why we like Bob so much, is because he's
Yes,
all these young
dude.
ruffians, and we're like, oh yeah, we're gonna just
I think 10 years ago I would not
stolen off you, and
yeah. I don't think I would have been as like viscerally connected to Bob as I am now, because it does
True.
feel like it's like Bob wants to live forever too, but he's
Another thing I wanted to mention that I liked is just another little Gus Van Sant-ism, like very 90s, is that all the sex scenes were like the snapshots. But
Okay,
but it was
so
just them just being still for like a couple seconds, so you could still see the movements, like
Yeah.
not actual stills.
dude.
Just wanted to point out, I love that. A lot of fun.
That
And
is
the two
no,
sex
like I
scenes
was
that they
kind
have,
of
they
saving
do
it. Clones are people too. Comment
Oh,
on that.
did
I
he?
was gonna,
Okay.
I was
I didn't
gonna
read- I didn't read
talk
his
about that a
comment.
little bit. Yeah, it like it's the greatest sex.
It's the way to
scenes
do it. I like
of any
if
movie
I ever
ever.
have to do a sex scene in a movie that's not like gratuitous by design, I'm definitely gonna do it in that way because that's like it shows. It like makes it seem like they're having a fun romp, but without like fixating on it. It's like a fun sex scene montage in
And
a way that's like a lot of fun.
like-
and the fact that it's like they're just moving ever so slightly, it's like adds such an
The dead
extra
silence.
layer to it where it's just like they got Hans with like the nipple pinchers but they're just like they're moving a little
Yeah.
bit still. And I don't know. It's great. I love it. It's all those little things, the editing, the like kind of folksy music, and the weird little surreal bits to the storytelling, and like the almost like pastel 90s vibe going on. I don't know, but
Yeah,
they're
the
really
color in this film is
they
beautiful.
just really add to it. I don't know. Like the more I talk about this movie, the more I like it with you. So it's like I'm glad.
100%.
Another
I was
reason.
already on board, and now it's like it's approaching like 5-star territory. Like,
really good.
I'm more hyped about it because like those sex scenes are amazing. So I'm on a dead hunt to find his dad's artwork is some of the greatest. I wonder if Gus Van Sant painted that himself because like Gus Van Sant is
Wait,
an
what
avid
part?
artist, and so when he's in his trailer,
When he goes to the
home
trailer,
with his
right,
dad,
yeah.
when he goes to his trailer, his dad's an artist. And remember when Keanu Reeves is
Oh,
looking
yeah,
at
and
his
he's looking at
paintings?
him. He's looking at
and
the
he's
paintings,
like,
yeah, yeah.
he's looking at him, and he's like, and he goes, "Oh, you like them?" He's like, "I paint those for a living."
Yeah.
And that's all he does. And it's such a quick throwaway thing, but there's 3 shots of the paintings,
Yeah.
and they are horrifying. They're so good. I need to I'm gonna go and I'm just gonna I'm gonna go screen grab them off my computer because it's like I want to screen
Dude,
grab
I don't
them,
remember
get the
how they
cleanest-
looked like.
I'm
I
gonna
don't remember
photo.
what they
Oh my
looked
god,
like.
I'll post them. I'm gonna go post them on Reddit. Give me like
Yeah,
30
please do.
minutes.
Do
Let
it
me
for
go
me.
find it. But no, dude, I straight up I want them so bad because there's one of this face and it's haunting. Dude.
wait, okay,
It's so
that
good.
sounds familiar.
It'll come once I post them on
Yeah,
Reddit.
yeah.
You'll be like, oh fuck yeah. But I'm gonna go. I'm gonna
Subliminal
get screen
now.
grabs. I'm gonna Photoshop them so they look good, and then I'm gonna get them like Shutterflied or some shit, like printed on canvas, so they
Yeah,
kind of look like
yeah.
paintings.
You
Because
just
they
hang 'em
do.
in your own house?
I'm like dead ass serious. I'm gonna do that, and I'm
email
gonna post
Gus
it,
Van
and then I'm
Sant
gonna
and be like,
we
"Can I
should
just
put
make
that-
this
oh,
into
dude.
post into stickers for the podcast."
yes into stickers for the podcast. No, I'm
Who
dead
did
serious,
this?
dude. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
straight up. I was on a hunt down last night. I fucking went down a rabbit hole to try to find paintings, and like all I could find were like paintings people have done like for the movie homages, just like paintings of the scenes, and some of them were fucking beautiful, dude. Like I love the like when he looks through his fingers and it shows the fucked up face.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a good it's like there's that, like you said, there's just so many little moments,
It is.
and I feel like we don't get that as much anymore in film. Like
don't.
it's like in film it all has to be like either big and orchestrated and like kind of like Christopher Nolan style,
Yeah.
where it's just like it has to be this like big and bombastic to really sell it, to like put it in your face. Where I'm like, God,
Yeah,
back in the
who
day,
else-
it's like we used to just like
Who else
I
does
think that- I
those
think
like
that-
throwaways that are
No,
kind of like just
well, we
like
just-
cutesy?
we just watched him. I think Call Me by Your Name. What's his name?
Yeah,
Guadagnini or
Luca.
something? What's
Yeah, Guadagnini. Luca
yeah,
Guadagnino.
Yeah, Guadagnini. Yeah, he does that. He's got some. He does. Well, he'll like cut to something for just 2 seconds to just expand the universe of the movie and like
Yeah,
give
but
us a little bit
I'm like-
more.
I feel like
artsy,
there's more.
but it's
I'm
not
gonna have
the
to think on
same.
it.
I know.
Nah, I'm gonna have to think on it. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll save it for the bonus or something. Because I'm like, the stuff like the throwaway of like the porno mag covers or the things like that. Like like the zoom in on the thing. Like the only people who do it consistently, and so it's not really like it's not you, like Wes Anderson, like he does everything. Every shot is a cutesy little fucking thing, which is great. But
yeah, right.
But also, it's like in this, it's like, it's grounded, but it's got these like little, just like, I don't know, it's the nuggets. It's like these little nuggets that really help elevate it. Because I feel like the script is solid, but I feel like if somebody would have taken this movie on paper and someone else would have made it, it would have no charm. Like, I don't know. Like, it has.
Yeah. No,
there's
I
such
agree for real.
a charm and like a realness, but also like a surrealness that goes with like just filmmaking.
It's like, so it's
culture.
It's got a lot of
too.
like, what is it? Edward the Fourth or whatever, or something like that. I don't know. Whatever.
Henry the Fourth
or Henry. Thank you. Yeah, Henry the Fourth is a big one. But I'm like, I feel like these two characters are Guildenstein and
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. I was thinking that a little bit too.
Yeah, like that. They're 100%. Like if they're not, I didn't see anything that like confirmed it. But I'm like, fuck.
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern were like a couple hustling gay prostitutes that were just like. Oh, we're gonna do a robbery, but then we're gonna fucking hoodwink them and rob them.
I know.
And then they're just like, "Hey, I got the money,"
Yeah, and then come back and give it to our gang, and like, it's just like it's such a like a loving camaraderie that they have. Like I love how like comfortable they are with each other and how like happy everyone is. Like it's so nice that like they didn't make it like. There wasn't somebody in there that was like, it was a support system. Like there wasn't, even Bob wasn't like he kisses him. He steals a kiss from Scott. And that's the only creepy thing he ever does. But it feels
that
more
we
like
see. I feel as much as I like Bob, I feel like that guy's probably done some creepy things. I suspect.
Well, yeah, but I think it's probably like a coke induced,
Sure.
fugue state.
Blame it on the coke. Okay, blame it on the coke.
Sometimes.
It's
Well,
like,
actually,
sometimes you do
that's too soon.
a couple bumps and you just gotta kiss a boy. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Right. But dude, I'm gonna post. Speaking of on the topic of drugs, that's how River Phoenix passed, and I'm gonna. There's a heartbreaking interview that he did after this movie, and it's him talking about how he like stays away from drugs to be clean, and like he's just like, and he loves filmmaking, and like and he's just like he's like very humble. He's like, it could have been a million different people, whatever. I'm happy to have this position, and it's just like it's such a bummer. He died like 2 years after this.
So sad. He really is like, because that's what makes it worse. Like he was a good talent, but it's just like. He was a really, very, very talented young actor, right, obviously. And I haven't even seen all of his stuff. But what I've seen, I've been really impressed by. And I've heard nothing, over the years is like, mythos around him and everything. But, like, it's just made so much worse when it's just like the potential, right, is so snuffed out. Like, in an alternate reality, we got some of the best shit. Like, he was an all-time. I feel like he had the potential to be an all-timer. You know what I mean?
Dude, and him and Walking together, dude. I just like I can't. We really did. This is like I get like we were robbed.
We live in the alternate timeline. Like if River Phoenix never died, then does Joaquin rise up to the same level? What if we live in that's the alternate reality where we go to the alternate reality that River Phoenix is alive, and we're like Joaquin Phoenix, and they're like Joaquin who? Huh?
Yeah. Or Joaquin Phoenix.
River
Joaquin
Phoenix's
is
younger
just in, like,
brother.
sitcoms.
Yeah. His
right.
younger brother that's can't get a job. This is the Liam Hemsworth or whatever. No, just kidding. Liam does fine.
Right. I'm more thinking he's like the Kings of Queens or something. He's just he's a schleppy old guy that's just doing sitcoms his whole life.
Anyway, you mentioned this was low budget, which you think it looks low budget, but I'm curious how much.
I know, right?
Because it is
era.
Like they got quite a lot going on, so I don't think I can place it.
I forgot to.
Oh, you don't have that off the top of your head?
See, well, no. So I forgot to clarify because it's like IMDb says that it was 2.5 million, but I was listening to an interview and they said that he wanted to do it for 250,000, and then I was like, oh,
2.5 makes sense. I was gonna say definitely in the like 2 to 5 range.
But I really could see this made for 250.
I could see this under
all the actors. All the actors like lived with Gus Van Sant during the filming of this, like, and it was shot in like his hometown with like no-name actors. These
Shot-
are like half of them are street kids.
Yeah, it's shot on
It's
just a lot of exteriors or just a lot of like vacant buildings.
Wicca says 2.5. So I don't know. Maybe it could be adjusted for inflation, but probably not. It was probably 2.5.
Even then,
probably for like distribution and everything.
Yeah, distribution and like just again like I feel like, and I know it's not like that much, but it's just like people don't realize nowadays, all you youngsters don't realize how fucking expensive it is to just make a movie on film. Like we are blessed to live and cursed in a way, but blessed to live in an era where you can make digital movies that look good and you can fucking edit them on your home computer. Like you have all these tools in your hand, but not that long ago, for fucking almost 100 years, is like the actual celluloid, the development, the fucking actual tape of the film, like of the audio recording. And like, it was so expensive to physically make films that it's just like, I guarantee you like a third of this budget went to just that, at least to just the actual like renting the camera. That's fucking very, 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 very expensive. It's like they're shooting movies on iPhones now. You know what I mean? It's like quite the difference. So,
yeah,
because now I'm like
it's all like nowadays it's all back end too. It's like before it was all front loaded where you had to like come up with all the money then, but now it's all like edited in computers and corrected in computers.
Yeah,
like, even just
way
color,
more in marketing
because
it's like
it is. Yeah,
when we talk about these fucking, we're always ripping on these $200 million plus movies and shit. That it's just like you're paying a buttload of people that are very famous, millions and millions of dollars, to act in front of a green screen.
But
then
on those movies, it like with every Marvel and all the Disney conglomerate films, their budgets are pretty much 50-50. That's how they make their movies. Is they will I've been looking into it more, and they'll actually do that. They will literally, if a movie's $50 million in Disney, 25 went to distro. Like that's like basically how they categorize it. That's how come I was kind of like, that makes a lot more sense, because I was like, to make a film nowadays, even paying your actors, the highest paid actor is only getting a couple million for a movie. Like they're not, they're not getting 20 million
Avengers,
for a movie.
It's just a bunch of fucking dickheads running around on a green screen with costumes slapped on. It's like, how much can that actually cost up front? Because that's nowhere near hundreds of millions of dollars, but the good chunk of it.
But it's always like 50-50.
Yeah,
that's pretty much the
still too
pretty
much.
much the you can just. I know. Oh, I mean, yeah. It's like ridiculous.
Give me
but
10 million or less. I want 50 million.
I
know.
know.
Be like the cap. If you can't make your movie for under $50 million, $50 million should be like big budget.
I get all you freaking nerds out there with your goddamn capitalism and how much you love it. You want the free market, but it would be really nice if there was a cap, man. We need a little bit of restriction.
I was thinking
to give us, breed creativity.
Yeah, for sure. You do. You need to have that. But I was thinking
round
about
everybody up. Make movies for us.
Yeah, do it. That's what they're doing. That makes sense. ICE is just a production company.
Yeah, I know. Wow. I know that. Honestly, that was the joke. That was where I was going to. But
no, fucking. It's like I was thinking about District 9 the other day, randomly, and I'm like, and District 9 is a great movie, and it looks great, and it's very action packed, and it's like if Neil Blomkamp can make District 9 for $30,000, you can make Avengers for 50. You know what I mean? You could do it.
Right.
Go fuck yourself.
Or wait, 30. He made it for 30 million.
30 million.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah,
it's like that's crazy. I really wish that. It's like I like Chappie a lot, but man, I'd rather have District 10.
Yeah. Anyway,
so you have clones for people too, and it grossed 8 million, but it's not really. That doesn't really matter because it just got a new line. It was like a Sundance that got a new line.
It's a cult. I know it's a bit of a '90s cult classic in its way, it's a big.
I want
influential.
I want to revisit again, soon.
I'd for sure watch it again. I want to watch the rest of Gus Van Sant's movies because even his more quote unquote boring ones or whatever, I've always liked them. You know what I mean? I always thought they were good. Even though Milk is great, but it's very straightforward. It doesn't have any of this it's a very straightforward biopic, but it's really good. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to
It's one of the better
go.
ones,
Like we
for
like
sure.
Elephant, and people talk
Yeah.
a lot of mad shit about Psycho, but the remake. But it has nothing
I
to
need
do.
to see it. I need to see it. I don't really
It's-
know. I remember watching
fine.
it like on TBS or some, I don't know, whatever, it's a Turner Classic or something. And I remember
Well-
being like, I don't like this at all because it's the original's so good.
That's the thing, though. It's like his version of Psycho is just like a shot-for-shot remake of Psycho with new actors and in color, and so it's totally fine. But it's why bother? But I
Right.
feel like it's no fault of his own. I feel like it was a passion thing. Like I bet you it was fun, and it's like it's got a good cast and everything. I would fucking rewatch Psycho. You know what? I'm gonna rewatch
God,
Psycho and
it'd be cool.
Horror-tober.
We should do a Horror-tober. Put it on there.
The 99 Psycho. Fuck it.
Yeah. I mean, why not, man? Let's do it. We
Well,
watched original.
Here's
let's
what
do
we're
it.
gonna do. We're gonna watch the 99 Psycho, and then we're gonna watch the like 80s Psycho 2, the Anthony Perkins one.
Oh yeah.
Because we've been
Oh,
wanting to
yeah,
watch
yeah,
Psycho
that'd be
2,
sick.
but we've already done
Yeah.
the first Psycho, so we'll watch Psycho the remake and then the OG Psycho 2.
Dude,
That's
okay.
what we're doing.
You heard it. You heard it on the pod first, folks. Out
Help
there.
us
We're gonna put that on the
remember when it comes
on
to-
Horror-tober. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I gotta read it. So, Clones of People 2 says, first watch, I'd only heard of this before, so I didn't really know what to expect. Honestly, I thought it was a gay romance in the army. I wasn't a big fan of this, and it just didn't really connect with me. I found the film just drifted a bit too much, and I would have preferred a more solid plot. I guess with the characters, it's apt that the film drifted over being grounded. Whoops. I found the film had a real 70s energy about it. It reminds me of early Scorsese and the New Hollywood era, totally. Especially in the scenes with Bob, the grimy realism mixed with masculine energy. I like the sex scenes with photography stills. This was artistic and served the tone of the film well. Is it just me or is Keanu Reeves not evolved in his acting at all? He seems like a great guy and he picks great roles, but he seems very limited in his emotional range. Overall, glad to have seen it, but not a big fan. 6 out of 10. Thanks for that. Usually,
Yeah,
you know what?
I-
Usually we're always
I-
like, you do this podcast, but now you can't because that was the wrong
know.
opinion. I'm just kidding. No,
Yeah, right. It's nice to hear somebody like you clearly like 6 out of 10 is I mean that's fine. That's
Well-
I think that's what it really got. Like
And
out
everything
there in
you,
the world, but
everything you said, it is like a very subjective opinion. Like it makes sense. Like this movie does drift and is not heavily plotted.
yeah,
And kind of like what I said last week about, Call Me by Your Name, where it's just like I was not really in the mood for it, and I feel like this movie could have caught me the same way. I feel like if I came at this movie a little bit differently, it probably would have been like, man, I can't grab onto these characters. It's just so like kind of all over the place. I'm not in the mood for that, and it's not for me. Like I totally get it, but it just hit for me. I don't know, but I see what you're saying, and I agree. I was saying that 70 like this, the 90s felt like the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s independence. Like that's everything changed because the 80s were sterilized. 70s was like brave. It's like we go every other decade kind of because it's like
right. Well, because that's what happens is like the new wave
Cyclical.
comes in,
Everything's
and
cyclical, man.
and then the new wave gets structured, and then it becomes formulaic, and then people are like, we got to break this form.
Everyone's chopping it.
and that's just
that's how it goes.
that's pretty much what happens every like you said, a couple decades. But I agree with the 70s take big time, and oh crap, I had a movie and I just forgot. Oh, I was thinking of like Scorsese. We got to see a more like oh my god, After Hours. Yeah, After Hours. That is such a like. I'm so used to go listen to that podcast, but like that is like the same. That he's capturing that energy for sure.
For sure.
Like After Hours, you're like stuck in purgatory. Like he's like stuck on that street forever.
This is
it's
like-
not-
this is
so
more
it's like this is what
floaty.
it feels like.
If this had,
but this is definitely
more
more artsy, floaty.
if this had more anxiety pumped into it, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Then it would be more like, because After Hours, it's got this vibe, but it's got
Yeah.
the anxiety that underlines that drives it.
And I think,
But
I
you're
think it would have
right.
been interesting though.
You're right though.
And I think this is Gus Van Sant's third film, I think, right? Second or third. This
Yeah,
is
something
third,
like
I think.
that.
And so it's like that also is like he's still kind of young and dumb, and so he's young, dumb, and full of cum because he's about to like get a little more like refined and actually like make some more structured narrative.
Because a couple
films
years
later on.
after this, he won the fucking Oscar and like made his most popular movie by far, Good Will Hunting. You know what I mean? Like 5 years after this.
But you and I, we both know that like he didn't really direct that. He was just there so that they could actually make the film. I mean, but I do think that he helped, of course, 100%. Like he was an integral part because that's what I really respect about Gus Van Sant,
vision,
is
but
he's
is
boots on the ground.
This is his vision.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Like I think it would be
Good Will
cool,
Hunting is
like,
Ben Affleck's and fucking Matt Damon's vision. You know?
Right, exactly. And Gus Van Sant just guided them. Yeah. But I think it'd be cool to see him remake this movie now, or to see like something similar now, because I'm curious what he would do with it. It actually it would be kind of fun to see a more narrative, like you were saying earlier, to see a different director work on this. But it'd be cool to see like Guadalupe or whatever. I'm so bad, whatever, Luca.
Guadagnino. I only remember it because I've written it so many times on Reddit. Because we've watched so many of his movies now that I've written it in the fucking Reddit so many times. It's like Guadagnino, so I know how to spell it.
I think he could take this script and do something with it, and that'd be interesting.
That would be
I
exciting.
don't know. It'd be kind of cool to see this movie like with a stronger narrative. I want to just for the sake of curiosity. I don't think this movie needs to change it at all. Slightly.
I just want to see Gus Van Sant be exciting again. I don't know. Like I feel like I got a little tingle in the peen with his last movie with Joaquin in it, but then it kind of came and went. But it's just like I guess that's why Guadagnino. It's like he's exciting even though he's older too. You know what I mean? He's like these older guys are exciting, but I don't know. I feel like I'd like to see Van Sant. He's working on something now. I don't remember what it was, but maybe we'll talk about it later. So, are we gonna do a bonus? You gonna do a bonus episode after this?
Oh, do you want to? Yeah.
So
I was trying to see who. There's a director. I mean, it doesn't really. We're thank you everybody. I mean, we gotta sign off. Thank you everybody.
Thank you for listening. You made it this far. Appreciate it. Go to the Reddit.
Support us everywhere. YouTube.
Vote on the
Reddit.
movies.
Patreon.
Talk about the movies with us, all that good stuff. And speaking of Patreon, we used to do like bonus episodes over there, like after show kind of shit, just talking about follow up movie stuff and all that. And we haven't done one for a while, but we're gonna do one for this episode. So if you want to hear what else we got to talk about, I'm going to talk about pirates for sure.
And we're definitely. I'm going to talk a little bit about. I'm going to talk maybe a little bit about the movie we watched last week. We usually talk about our past movies, and also just real quick. I don't know where this is going to make it on the pod. If this makes it on the bonus episode, awesome. Hello, bonus episode people. If this doesn't make it on the bonus episode, and we're still on the original, hello everybody. Thank you for staying. All right, keep it on. I feel like such a dummy. I kept thinking Gus Van Sant directed Coffee and Cigarettes, but it's Jim Jarmusch, dude. Jim Jarmusch and Gus Van Sant, they actually feel they've got like the exact same story structures of their movies.
If you would have told me that Gus Van Sant directed Dead Man, I would have been like, oh yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
100%. And that, dude, I was telling somebody today at work, and I was like,
awesome.
I was like, oh, Gus Van Sant. I was like, I know he directed Elephant for sure, 100%. And then I was like, what else did he do? And I was like, I think he did Coffee and Cigarettes, and I was like just on the fly, and I'm like, that didn't feel right in my soul. And then I was like, oh, there's like one about a zombie too that he did, like a zombie movie, and I was like,
Jim Jarmusch, yeah,
right either.
Yeah.
I was like, it's Jim Jarmusch.
The Dead Don't
dude.
Die, yeah, that one was cool.
Yeah, The Dead Don't Die.
But it does feel very. Anyway, thank you. We're gonna go by now. Since this Queer Cinema Month, support your queer community members, all that good stuff. Oh, God, my alarm's going to take my pills. Okay, goodbye.
All right, Grandpa.